And we're going to start out today with a meeting with a man who I think you're going to really, really enjoy. His name is Dean Jackson. He's one of the world's best in this area, and I'm really excited to introduce him to you. So, Dean, I want to first thank you for having us here. Great to see you.
Thanks.
And great to have got the chance to play golf with you today.
Yeah, what a great treat.
Yeah, really wonderful. We won't talk about that last shot.
We got a story for the end, yeah.
Man, just put the ball on top of the roof of some place. But I really wanted to spend time with you for several reasons. I talked to some of our mutual friends, and I know you know Frank Kern and Jay Abraham and people like that, and I said, look, I'm looking for the best of the best. People have real integrity and people who truly add value, and I'm looking for people that are able to do something really unique for people. You know, these businesses that are right now looking to go to another level, and I know that your focus has been in real estate, and right now that's a marketplace that's probably been hit as hard as any place by the current economy. And I know you got several thousand people that you guys are coaching, and they're doing extremely well. So I want to talk about that. But I think what I'd like to talk about first, if I would, and the second reason I want to chat with you, is your approach to lifestyle. Because so many business owners are people that get into business, and I think they get in because they want to have some freedom. But pretty soon the business consumes them. And they find themselves, not able to get off the phone, constantly living on their email, and more stressed out than they were before. They really end up having, a highly paid job. And I know that your mindset is really, really different in that area. So maybe we can start out a little bit with your philosophy. I know you've helped pioneer different areas of marketing on the internet, but maybe let's share a little bit about what's your philosophy towards lifestyle, and what do you really want to get out of a business, and how do you look at it? Because I know you have some very specific principles.
Right, absolutely. For me, the whole reason about getting into your own business, and if you ask any real estate agent, the reason mostly that they got into the business is to have freedom, is to be your own boss, to work, set your own hours, do all of that stuff. But what most real estate agents, myself included when I started out, realized very quickly is just because you can set your own hours, there's nobody telling you when to stop either. It's like you can just continue to go and go and go. And so one of the things that I really discovered was thinking about when is it going to be done? Like having a vision of what is my ultimate lifestyle really want to look like? What is it that I want to experience on a daily basis, as opposed to looking at success as something, aspirational, something on the horizon that you're constantly chasing? Because every time you reach a new goal, there's always the next level and the next level. And often you end up like the man who said, I don't want to own all the land, just the land that's next to mine. So there's no end to it. So one of the things that I did, I was very fortunate to get to know a man named Thomas Leonard, and we worked together on forming this vision of what the ideal lifestyle looked like, coming from a real internal frame of reference of how will I know when I'm being successful, not when I will be successful. Right. So I developed a top 10 list of the ways that I measure success for me. Right. And we talked about it earlier, that it's not about everybody adopting my definition of success, but for everybody to know what their definition of success is and to really live their life according to that. So really having those 10 for me has been a kind of a measuring stick that I look at, and I assess opportunities based on that, and look at it and say, is this moving me, outside of that, or is it, helping me stay within that?
Yeah, and I think that most people don't start with that end in mind. They start with a vision of what they think the business will be for them, whether it's an internet business or whether it's a large corporation. And then they love it, they get involved in it, and then momentum takes over. And so I'd like you to share, if you would, share with us what are some of your 10 principles. And again, I want to point out, I'm not suggesting people adopt yours either, and I love that that's your approach. But I think being able to say, before I even figure out how I'm going to market this business more effectively, make more money, start a business, or take a business to the next level, got to really decide, what's it going to mean to me? What's it going to mean to the quality of my life, the quality of my family's life, my physical, emotional life, and so forth? So tell us how you've attacked that.
Sure. I was back up for a second that I love that you started and said, it's not about where this business can take you, because a lot of times even deciding what your lifestyle is going to be like can often steer you in the right direction of which business to approach if you're looking at getting into a new business. So when I looked at it, for me, my number number one thing was, and they're just ways to finish the statement of, I know I'm being successful when. And my top one is that I can wake up every day and ask, what would I like to do today? So for me, that's the freedom of not having a set schedule, of not having every moment accounted for, where it's, it's a lot of discretionary time and getting to choose in the moment what the right thing to do is. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you goof off all day, or that I goof off all day. It's about knowing what is the thing that I really want to do right now.
Having that real freedom.
Having that freedom, yeah. And
I heard, is it true? A friend of mine said that you don't even, I think he said that either one of his friends or he was staying at your house and he had to get up in the morning, and he told me, he said he asked you for an alarm clock and you looked at him like he was crazy.
It was the funniest thing, because I'd never even thought about it. He had come to my house and we said, do you have an alarm clock? And I just kind of looked at Sony and we were like, no, I don't have an alarm clock, because you just kind of, wake up when we wake up, and that's a nice part of lifestyle, I think.
I want people to know that, we're going to get to how you're able to do that, the how-to, but I think, again, you want to start out with what is it you really want. So if you can get up and you're free to have your day be the way you want it to be, that's one of your criteria. What's another?
All right, so my second one is that my passive revenue exceeds my lifestyle needs. And so the conscious decision that I made early on was to not get caught up in leading with my material things, leading with the
buying all the stuff,
the tokens, exactly. Where so I made a decision to lead with revenue and then keep my lifestyle within my means.
But not just revenue, passive revenue, right?
Passive revenue.
So you're not having to work, so you still have the freedom each day.
Right.
But you have this income that's coming in, this money machine that allows you to have this great lifestyle.
Right.
But you're not extending yourself out there, so then you have the stress of being the slave to the lifestyle itself.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's right.
And that's, so it's been a good philosophy for me. And I see sometimes, unfortunately, see people who get all out there. I mean, they get the big house, get the cars, get all of this stuff, but it's all debt.
Yeah.
And they have to continue to generate revenue to pay for all of that stuff, and it feels like a prison sometimes, they get into a situation where there's not that freedom. And I look at it, I've often said like a life metaphor for overall is to live like an artist with a $50,000 a month trust fund.
So not a starving artist.
Exactly. I mean, wouldn't that, that's the ultimate thing, isn't it? Because number 3 for me is that I'm working on projects I'm excited about and doing my very best work.
So it's not that you're not working. It's not that you don't have to. It's the real freedom. It's doing what you love, doing what you're excited about, doing it in a way where you know that you don't have to do it because you've got your lifestyle taken care of by passive income, and having the freedom each day to really just choose how to live your life. Wow.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. And then the game becomes then is how big can you take it within those parameters, without going outside of what my personal definition of success is.
Right.
Yeah, so I love that. So my next one is that we can live anywhere in the world we choose. Now the internet and all the technology that's available today make it so easy to live anywhere and work from anywhere. You don't really need to be bound to a specific geographic area.
Right.
And so you can see how that would, if that's one of your definitions of success. For me, it precluded me from getting involved in a local business that requires you to be in one particular place.
Every day,
Yeah, because we split our time. I spend part of the year in Toronto, part of the year here in Florida, and so it doesn't matter where we are. There's never been a better time to be portable.
Yeah, and technology has given us tremendous freedom if you make use of it.
Yeah.
If you make use of it.
Absolutely.
So you get to be down here during the winter time and play golf and enjoy your life, and then you get a chance to go up there to Toronto at the very best seasons as well.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. What's another criteria? I know you have several.
Yeah, I do have several. What number was I on?
I think you're on 4.
I was on number 4. Okay, so another one is that there are no whiny people in my life. And that,
High five you on that one.
when you look at it, it's like so often if you're And that lifestyle, again, having a lifestyle that doesn't depend on anybody or any one client, or, where sometimes people get into a situation where you feel like you have to do something, you have to sort of, defer to this client or to make this person happy, and that's not a place where I wanted to come from. So I love being around happy people. I love being around positive people, exciting people. Some of the people we were talking about, Frank and Eben and Jay and all these people who are just like super positive people.
And the best in the world at what they do, all of them.
Yeah.
Your wife also is one of those happy people, isn't she?
Yeah, when we talked about that my wife is one of these people who, I say her default setting is happy.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I really enjoy that part of it.
Right.
Another one is that I have no deadlines or time obligations, where you feel like a lot of times under pressure. Imagine there are certain industries, like I had a friend who worked at a newspaper and constantly had that everyday deadline, and the pressure of that, I don't work best like that. I like to discover something. I like to chase something as opposed to be chased by something, because often if you have a deadline, you feel like you're being squeezed or you're being pushed up against it.
And you're having to do it versus getting to do it.
Right, that's exactly it. So again, with that, the artist metaphor of you're doing it because you love the expression of it, you love the creativity of it, and moving forward.
Right.
So another one is that I wear whatever I want at all times.
Yes.
And of having not having to be in a suit and tie every day, or we do at our live events beautiful custom suits and enjoy that. But as a general rule, I like to wear the same thing. I just like to wear casual, comfortable clothes.
And all the things that I see in your life are about how can you enjoy your life more by having things that aren't stressful, by having things that are frictionless, so to speak, that just allow you, and we were talking about that on the golf course, I do the same thing. It's like you have these billionaires, as you're describing, who, like Steve Jobs, who has his, turtleneck that he wears and his black jeans, and it's not like trying to be like somebody, but there's just consistency. I understand you have like the same shorts, same shirts.
Exactly.
I see you normally with your cap. I got you off the golf course here without your cap, but normally I see you got your cap on each time. But it's kind of like just your way to not have to even think about that and just enjoy relaxing and being. Is that right?
Absolutely. And that's, I think there's something to that. When Einstein wore a uniform, Steve Jobs, all these, it's like one less thing that you have to think about. Absolutely. That's what it is. And removing friction, of having to decide what you're going to wear, or having to, all these decisions to make is, it's something.
Wow. So when you go to make decisions about whether you want to be involved in a project, I know you've been very focused. You've found what fulfills you. Now, some people, they really want to do 50 things, and I don't know if any of us can do 50 things well. I think my tendency is to do a lot of things like that, and I get a lot of juice out of it, but there's got to be a balance. So everybody has a different criteria, but that, I think at this stage of life, it depends on where you are at the stage of your life, too. For a lot of people, this would be a real freedom for them if they said, these are my criteria, and so you use these when you're deciding whether you're going to do something or not.
Right, absolutely. Because every day I look at everything that I'm faced with. I'm presented with opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, like all entrepreneurs are. It's unlimited opportunity. You could do anything. Nobody's stopping you from doing anything. But it's so, when I look at it, what I really am doing is trying to keep my life within my definition of success. And there's all kinds of different manifestations of wealth, and more than just money. I could make more money than I make if I did more opportunities, but I don't need to make more money than I make, because I think there's a real element of wealth that goes with time freedom, and freedom from stress, and freedom to do what you really like to do.
And when you have these criteria being met every day like this, what's life like for you?
Well, it's exciting, you look at it, and I can't imagine like retiring or anything. You look at, most people work to a point where they're keeping their eye on, I'm going to work really hard, and then I'm going to not work. And I just think that that's completely set up, that one of the great joys in life is working. I enjoy being productive. I enjoy making a difference for people. I enjoy contributing like that. And so I can't imagine ever tiring of that, so you don't know, it's not like work hard and then sell my business and do nothing. It's
People get crazy when they do that. I have a dear friend that sold a business for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he was on the beach and he was at parties, and he did that for about 6 months, and then he went stark raving mad. He hit about 3 or 4 months into it, he started getting just antsy, and he ended up going and starting another business and buying another company, and just to get back in the game. But one of the beautiful things about you is, I mean, you're doing what you love, you're doing it with the people you love, you're doing it without a bunch of deadlines, you're doing it on your own terms. You're talking, very humbly in terms of, you got a pretty amazing lifestyle. You're living here, golfing 3 days a week, and then going to Toronto, your big home over there. So you have some really nice homes, really great environments, doing the things you want to do. But why would you want to retire when you have the lifestyle most people would have when they're retiring? I mean, you're doing all the things you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And why not do them now? Right? Why not do them now as opposed to looking for a finish line? It's experiencing it,
Yeah. Well, we talked about it on the golf course too. It's like, that finish line, whatever you think it is, it always expands, right? When you get to what you think it is, there's always more, and there's a seduction in that.
Yes.
If people are watching this interview, one of the things they're looking to do is figure out how to take a business they've got to another level, or they're looking to start a business. They're trying to say, I want to create a money machine so I don't have to work, so that working, not that I won't work, but so it's not a must for me. It isn't that necessity based. And I think if people can start with that clearly and say that's the criteria, now we look at the business opportunity. Let me look at how I'm going to go about conducting my business. Then freedom becomes a reality instead of a goal that's always being pursued but never really achieved.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, let's talk about then how we get there. All right, maybe let's start out with a little bit of your background. You started out 20 years ago in real estate. I understand you went out like the normal guy, going out there and doing your cold calling and doing your farming. Tell us what happened and tell us how it evolved into this multi-million-dollar, enterprise.
Yeah, when I look at it, going back, starting out as a real estate agent, the first thing that you're taught as a real estate agent is to cold call. You got to go out and get some business, and you're starting out and you don't have much money, or I didn't have much money starting out, and I didn't have any fear of making the cold calls, so I started calling and doing a market research survey, and I would find very quickly people who wanted to do business. And you learn very quickly, though, that you kind of burn out on that, or you kind of you realize that it's a hamster wheel, that, as long as I'm on the phone making those calls, as long as I'm prospecting, I'm, generating business. But as soon as I step off that wheel, the hamster wheel stops. And nobody's powering it except me. So it was my almost like manual labor of picking up the phone and talking to people. And around that time, I started studying marketing and started really studying direct response marketing. And when I realized that you could write an ad or a postcard that would get people to call you, and my whole life changed. I mean, I knew the first time that I sent out my very first postcards that got response, I knew I would never have to make another cold call again. And I still get that giddy kind of feeling in my stomach when I remember those responses coming in, because I would call these people back and they knew why I was calling. I sent out a postcard offering a free book on how to buy your first home.
So people are living in apartments?
Yeah, to people who are living in apartments. And when they called, or when they filled out the little business reply card and mailed it back, I would call them, and everybody that I talked to, knew why I was calling. They had asked for the book. They were indeed thinking about buying a home. So these were like really good quality people. Whereas in a regular night of cold calling, you might get hung up on, you get yelled at, you'd get, talked to for half an hour by a lonely person, and this was just life-changing. So it was like the ultimate leverage. You could now send out these postcards instead of me getting on the phone and making all those calls.
So what is your definition of marketing per se? And not only what's your definition, but I'd say, what's your definition of marketing, and what would you say is the biggest misconception about marketing? Maybe both those questions.
Sure. Well, the biggest misconception about marketing is that it's about you. That's my observation of it, is that the biggest misconception that I see is that people think that marketing is about getting your name out there.
Well, that's a typical realtor. You see them going out there building their names so everybody knows who they are, but that doesn't necessarily turn into real additional business or cash.
Not at all.
It may turn into celebrity, but it doesn't necessarily, some form of celebrity, but it doesn't turn into really bankable dollars.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I went through that too. The first, I went through that personal promotion phase, and that's where I started learning about direct response, because I realized, well, this personal promotion, everybody recognizes me when I go everywhere, but it's not generating business for me. So rather than focusing on getting your name out there, marketing, and I say direct response marketing, is about getting your prospect's name in here. It's about knowing who the people who are most likely to be your clients are, and really focusing on being, it's kind of a clean way to market, because you really get to put aside your needs and focus outwardly on what other people are focused on. I know Jay Abraham has been a big influence on me of being that setting aside your own personal needs, focusing on the other person and being more empathetic with what they really want, and offering it to them that way. You
had a good metaphor. I read someplace where you talked about the idea, you gave people an option. I don't remember the metaphor, but it was something related to, would they like to get up and be introduced to 500 people? Would you share that? You're great at metaphors. I thought it was a great
we do live real estate seminars. So we have about 500, 600 people in a room. And every time we do this, I give somebody in the front row an option. I say, here's your choices. Let's imagine that this 500-room seminar here, that everybody in this room represents a 500-home subdivision, and all the owners are sitting here in each of these chairs. Now, if I give you a choice of coming up here on stage, giving me 500 of your business cards, I'll hand one out to everybody, and I'll let you stay up here for 2 minutes and tell everybody who you are, how long you've been in business, why they should choose you. Everybody will know your name. I'll help you get your name out there. Or you can stay right in your seat, and I'll have somebody bring you an envelope, and in that envelope will be a piece of paper with the name, address, and telephone number of the 50 people in this room who are going to sell their home in the next 12 months. What would be more valuable to you? And so most people focus on, getting their name out there, getting everybody to know who they are, when the reality is there's only, if a 10% turnover in that subdivision, only those 50 people are the ones who are most valuable to you. It'd be better for you to build a relationship with those 50 people than for everybody to know who you are, And
it's expensive to build a brand. It takes time, and it takes enormous amounts of money. I mean, I'm very fortunate, but I've been doing it 30 years, and I've had partners, and we've been successful, but we've got almost $1 billion we built into the brand. And still, the brand is great. People know who you are, and they'll come up and approach you. But what you really have to do is find out what that person needs right now to be able to meet their needs. And that's really what you did with those apartments. You went after the specific need and got people that really wanted that now, so you could serve that customer.
It's the difference between getting rich or getting famous. And, when you start looking at it like that, it's a lot less expensive to get rich than it is to get famous. Because you're just focusing on other people, which is their favorite topic. All anybody ever thinks about, no matter what business you're in, and no matter what context people are thinking about your business, the only reason they're thinking about your business is what it can do for them.
If it'll really meet their needs.
That's exactly it. That's all they're focused on.
And you can meet people's needs quickly, a lot quicker than you can build a brand. So it doesn't matter what the business is. And yet, almost every business you know of, it's not just real estate. The business owner, I think there's a seduction in wanting, your own identity to be known so well. I mean, easy for me to say, I've had those privileges, but with those privileges come a lot of other challenges too, in your life. But why do you think that is? Why do you think people get so caught up in this personal promotion, which costs so much more and is so less effective?
Because their favorite topic is themselves. See, when you think about that, the reason the easiest job in the promotion world is selling people